from that from that moment when you realized you guys had to go back to Watts, how long did it take, and what was like the first initial steps that
The fir-
y'all
the
do?
first initial steps was, for me, I remember watching television because I'm a big history guy and I like to follow wars and conflicts, and I was watching I was watching news, and I think it was the History Channel, and on that I was looking at um, the treaties between Japan and America, and there was they was doing a ceremony for peace that ended that war, and I remember it was on the ship, and I was looking at it, and I was like, oh man, that's how we should do it. You know what I'm saying? For one, you're looking at it, the world sees it, and I was like, man, they're bringing all the warring factions together, and they're creating a document and a declaration to address the conflict and find solutions on way on how to rebuild. So in my mind, as I'm looking and visualizing this stuff, I say, hey, that's what we need to do. And I was because you always trying to figure out how to diffuse something without blowing stuff up. And I'm like, that's the perfect way of doing it, is doing it in that way, getting all the warring factions, 10 members from this side, 10 members from this side, 10 members from this side, but the 10 members have to be all a part of all these different cliques because I understood how the neighborhood structure was. If you look at Grape Street, look at all these other different neighborhoods, no one person run these neighborhoods, not one, not two, not three, because these neighborhoods have a lot of people. Like in my neighborhood, we had over 7 to 10,000 people, and so we had all these different cliques from different sides of the projects. So you had to actually go and meet with those who had influence in all these different cliques to be able to really get a consensus if people wanted to do something positive or they wanted to do something negative. And that was the reflection of all our different neighborhoods. The structure was damn near the same. You go in LA, you think I got him. You got somebody in the neighborhood that don't like him that'll still fuck you up. You know what I'm saying? If you ain't gonna go talk to him too, then
Yeah.
you'll put them at conflict, and that's how a lot of stuff is happening in these neighborhoods. And so when I seen that, I was like, man, I went back and I said, man, we want to. I said, what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna have a brother go research these treaty documents, and that was the brother Anthony Perry.
Anthony
Yeah,
Perry.
I asked him to go and research the USC library and pull out some peace accords.
So now, who is Anthony Perry?
Anthony Perry was a brother that was with the Nation of Islam.
Okay.
Yeah, he was a Nation of Islam guy because, like I say, during the Stop the Killing tour, it was really organized by Minister Farrakhan, the Nation of Islam, and that's who spearheaded us coming together at Jim Brown House. And so, when we started doing the stuff with Jim, some of those we had a faction of brothers from the nation who was a part of the administration of American. And so Anthony Perry was one of those brothers. Very sharp, very intelligent, very smart, very disciplined, structured. And so, he was a good brother that took the assignment and he went and started researching at the USC library the treaties and documents, and he ended up picking one of the best ones.
No, and it's beautiful because it's a beautiful story because the uh, uh, Harvard Law Review Journal did a whole research
Yes,
on the Gang Truce, and it talks about how you and Anthony Perry
yes,
came with the
yes,
treaty, and it actually says that you suggested that we get a written document and it needs to be a treaty.
yes.
And it said that Anthony Perry went to UCLA and got the Egypt Israel
Israel and Egypt.
armistice
Armistice agreement.
armistice
Yes,
agreement, which
yes,
is
yes,
which was also co-written by Dr. Ralph Bunchy, who coincidentally was the first African American Nobel Peace Prize winner,
yes, yes.
but was also a resident of Watts
There it is, Dunbar Hotel.
and got a Peace Prize
And,
for
and
the
look,
treaty.
we didn't know nothing about it
Yeah,
until the history, until it happened, and it all aligned. I said, look at this. I mean, God is good. God is working.
nah, it's a beautiful
And
thing.
like I say, a lot of people don't understand is that, it was the religious community that freed us from slavery, took us through civil rights, and also led us out of violence between the killing between Christian Bloods in the city of Los Angeles. At that time, I was religion.
Okay.
I wasn't an active gang member because I denounced being active and decided to create a positive history of myself for my child. And I aligned myself back with my faith. My mother and father was Muslims. So I realigned myself back with my faith and had to get the history lessons of all that stuff because you can grow up learning and sin and going through the motions of all that, but consciously you still not really understanding these things. So it's easy for you to do something different, especially if you living in a strict religion. Because we was growing up, we didn't believe in Christmas, holidays, birthdays, nothing. Didn't eat pork, didn't pledge the flag. When you talking about back in the days, I remember not when they used to stand up in the classroom and they had to pledge the flag, and we used to sit down. We before Colin Kaepernick was even known for that. We was doing it, and I mean the backlash that we received as kids growing up, and people telling you to pledge the flag and you don't want to get up, and then you have to explain why you don't want to pledge the flag, and everybody laughing at you and stuff like that. I mean, we went through it was a more cultural thing for us growing up as Muslims in public school and community. For one, our names, Daude, they always change my name. I always get in fights about that. And then just not being able to engage like everybody else engaged in Christmas. You go outside, everybody got toys, and we don't celebrate Christmas. We don't celebrate birthdays.
Yeah.
And people, ask you, what you get for Christmas? And you have to sit right there and lie. I mean, one time they asked me, Dad, what you get for Christmas? I said, I got a monkey.
A monkey.
That was bigger than everything.
You was Michael Jackson with it.
Hell with the big wheels, the bikes, the skates, and the clothes and all that. Man, I told them I had a monkey. They like, what? But,
Oh man.
but like I say, it was the religious side of us who was actually successful in bringing forth this peace treaty.
Yeah.
The truce itself was held in the masjid, the same masjid that my mother and them founded and formed from being Shiites. You know what I'm saying? Because that was that Shiite temple. And so
What's the name of the masjid?
Masjid al-Rasul.
Rasul.
And the imam is Mujahid. And Mujahid, when we was when I was coming home to the projects, and Mujahid at that time, I think Henry Pico had got killed in the Imperial Courts, and Dwayne Holmes and his family was close or related to Henry Pico, and at that time the Imperial Courts had started trying to find a way because of that incident on stopping the killing, because at that time they wasn't involved with no peace process, no stuff like that, because our neighborhood and their leader over there was Tony Bogart, who created a war between us and the Imperial Courts based upon some incidents that took place, and one of our guys ended up being murdered, and then that kicked off the whole conflict and war between us and the Imperial Courts. So at that time, we was at a full-fledged war between us and the Imperial Courts, and when Henry Pico ended up being murdered by LAPD, that triggered in young Dwayne Holmes that he wanted to find a different solution because he was burning up and mad as hell that the LAPD had killed his people. You know what I'm saying? And it all, like I said, goes back to the wars and the conflicts that we have and why these conflicts and things like this happen. Because, I mean, whether if he had a gun or not, you know what I'm saying, or what they claimed that they seen him with a gun, there's the reason why they shot him. It's not so much about whether he had a gun or not. It was based upon even a lot of us who growing up, it was about survival. You know what I'm saying? Because drive-by shootings and people coming and growing up in an environment like that, man, you suffer from post-traumatic stress disorder. And so what they claimed is that they seen him with a gun and they never found it. They ended up killing him. That sparked in Dwayne Holmes. He wanted to be active and do some things and try to change just, from the injustice that they had experienced. And so Mujahid ended up going to a candlelight vigil in the Imperial Course and meeting with Teresa, which is Dwayne's mother, and Dwayne them, and sharing what they wanted to do as far as in taking people down to the city hall to protest would have to Henry Pico. And so at that time, I'm working on the treaties document inside USC, and I'm finding a way, how do I outreach? You know what I'm saying? Mujahid had two, he was the religious person that was around this. And Mujahid had the relationships inside the Nicholson Gardens because Masjid Al Rasul is on 112th and Central. Okay. The heart of the bounty hunters. You know okay. And so we, growing up, never was going to get caught on that side of the tracks. Okay. I don't care if it was churches or religious institutions or anything, stores, swap meet, gas stations, we're not going to get caught over there in the state of mind far as from a gang banging standpoint of view. And so I remember seeing Mujahid, he was coming to our house because I guess he had got the message from Dwayne, and so Mujahid wanted to come and find us. And at that time, Mujahid knew that we was organizers, working with Jim and working with certain things. So Mujahid was coming to meet me, coming over to the house. And so when we linked up in the Jordan Downs, and he was talking to me, he was talking about Dwayne Holmes. He said Dwayne Holmes want to do a march, you know what I'm saying, for social justice, what happened to Henry Pico, and he want to be able to get some brothers over here on this side to go to City Hall, and protest. And so I was like, wait. I was like, I'm working on, I told him I'm working on a peace treaty, a gang truce, a document. And I said, well, let's schedule a meeting at the masjid because I want to present what I got, you know what I'm saying, that could supersede just the social justice stuff, because if we stop this killing, that would prevent them from coming over here, and it would prevent innocent situations like that from happening because we was causing all this stuff based upon our wars and conflicts and stuff like that. So Mujahid was like, okay, yeah, we'll schedule a meeting at the masjid. I said, cool. So I went and reached out to a lot of my guys, you know what I'm saying, older homies, younger homies, and I was telling them about, you know what I'm saying, I was going to go over there and meet with these brothers about a peace treaty. So I got the support and backing for some of the influential brothers that was older than us in our neighborhood who wasn't with the fuck you, fuck that mentality. We had a lot of homies that was kind of like educated, that was in the game, that had influence, that seen us organizing and going up to Jim House. We took a lot of them up to Jim House who participated at the Stop the Killing a thing with Louis Farrakhan. And so we had a conscience of brothers who was in 1 foot in and 1 foot out. And so they gave me the support, say, okay, just go over there because we're not gonna go. You know what I'm saying? The first meeting going over there to the masjid, they didn't want to go because they thought it was gonna be an ambush. So I was like, well, I go. You know what I'm saying? So I ended up taking myself and one of my other little tiny little homie, little homie, he was a young brother named 12. I ended up taking him to the first meeting. You know what I'm saying? And we ended up meeting at the masjid.
How did that go?
Oh, it went good.
And who was all there at the first meeting?
From the Jordan Downs, it was myself and my little homie. And from the Imperial Course, it was Teresa Holmes, Dwayne Holmes, Red Rooster, and there was a guy named Serpo. Okay. I ended up inviting Twilight, and Twilight ended up inviting another brother out of Circle City Power Rules in Hacienda by the name of Alonzo. And then Mujahid had also brought from the Nixon Gardens Hank. It was Hank. It was Big Gush. You know what I'm saying? I think it was two representatives from the Nixons. The first ever meeting. And so we get in there, and I'm decked out in a suit. You know what I'm saying? So I ain't got no colors, so I got a full suit on. They thought I was from the Nation of Islam. I was Muslim from the neighborhood. You know what I'm saying? But I had
you on the wrong side of the tracks.
I'm not going over there dressed in a white shirt. And as a matter of fact, like I say, when I changed my lifestyle around, two things that I did, I took off the culture. One thing you want to do when you transition out of that environment, you have to change. You have to make a 180 change.
Yeah.
You know, my 180 changed when I decided to give that up and go pursue being a father and being someone that my child was going to have, that I was going to leave a legacy behind for my child. I got rid of that gang car, that Regal, because that self-identifies you with the culture. If you had been driving that car with a suit on, you're gonna get your head popped. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And the dress codes, dress
Okay.
code, because back in the days everybody wore khakis, white shirts, and you know it was a culture. You know what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
so I started wearing suits or wearing army fatigues. You know what I'm saying? To
Okay.
identify as a nationalist or look like a person from the Nation of Islam. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
So I
Okay.
had to change those two things, and so when I went to the meeting, I was dressed in a suit. You know what I'm saying? And then I
Okay.
had my little guy at 12. He was just, but he was young. 12 was probably about like 12 years old. You know what I'm saying?
Wow.
And so we went in there.
How
And
about Tony Bogard?
Tony Bogard wasn't at this meeting. Tony Bogard was in hiding at the time because Tony Bogard created the war between Great Streets and Imperial Courts. And so Tony Bogard at that time had ended up getting shot up. He just got shot with an AK, almost got killed. And so he was in hiding. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
And so Dwayne Holmes, who was from the Imperial Courts, Red Russo, who was from Imperial Courts, and Serpa, who was from Imperial Courts, ended up attending the meeting with Dwayne Holmes' mother and
Okay.
stuff like that. So I kind of laid it out, you know what I'm saying, you know, that when I was there, what we were trying to do was come together with a truce, a ceasefire, and establish a peace treaty. And so we got to have that conversation about that, you know, how would that look, how would that work, what we have to do. So my thing was just, you know, explain to him what we had to do, because understanding the culture and understanding how the neighborhoods were structured, you know, that everybody had to go talk to all the different cliques and get them to buy in. You know what I'm saying?
How long did that take?
Oh, it took the second meeting. The word got out, you know what I'm saying, throughout the neighborhood that we met. It was a successful meeting. When I got back, I called all my people, and then everybody was going back to their different neighborhoods, sharing. Like Donnie and Hank then went to the Nixons, Dwayne Holmes went back to the Imperial Courts, Twilight then went back, and then we went back to share about the meeting that we had, you know what I'm saying? And so the next meeting, we supposed to have brung other individuals to the meeting. And so we had a series of meetings, you know what I'm saying, where we kept bringing more and more and more people to the meeting to discuss this idea about, you know, peace and a ceasefire and a truce. And well, it was already a truce, you know what I'm saying, about a ceasefire and a potential peace treaty. And so from that, you know, it just grew, you know what I'm saying? So eventually,
And in April 20, and what was April?
About April, this started in early April, early April. And so about 2 or 3 weeks, you know what I'm saying, about April 27th, April 27th, the masjid was packed out. I mean, it was so many people in this masjid that it wasn't no sitting room. That's how packed it was. And all these people was representatives from the different neighborhood, from the 4 major housing project developments.
And then by that time, the news, the police,
Well,
everyone heard about it. They're
Did
all
nobody,
outside.
still nobody heard about it. You know what I'm saying?
Wasn't they outside?
Well, the LAPD eventually, when everybody came out the masjid and was just standing out there, a LAPD car was coming up Central, and seeing us out there, and they ain't never seen nothing like that before.
Okay.
And so from that, you know what I'm saying, they that was the first observation from law enforcement, but didn't nobody in the city know, you know what I'm saying, up until, you know what I'm saying, the night of the riots.
That's what I wanted to get at. So